1999 Toyota Sienna, and we're gonna work on repairing AC issues today. I don't know what exactly going on with the AC system. From what vehicle driver told me, his mechanic told him 2-3 years ago that compressor needs replacement. And for about a year or two, there's serpentine belt here that bypasses the AC compressor. And you could even see the pulley on AC compressor, it's pretty rusted. There's not much room there to try to manually move the compressor pulley, but I tried to reach like this and the pulley is not moving at all. The clutch or whatever part on side further away from me is moving freely, but this actual pulley is just stuck. So with the assumption that compressor is locked up, I'm gonna need to replace compressor, dryer and condenser. The reason you wanna replace everything is since compressor locked up, there could be some plastic or even metal components inside compressor, and all those broken pieces very possible went to other AC components. So for example, if you replace just compressor, but some of those broken parts stuck in condenser, you're pretty much gonna ruin another compressor. There is also a small chance that those particles are stuck somewhere at like a heater core, somewhere in that area. But to replace things over there, it would take days and days of work. So I'd rather take chance of replacing just these parts. So I'm gonna start with removing a serpentine belt and removing alternator. Of course, before doing all that, I'm gonna disconnect negative terminal on battery. Before doing any repairs on AC, removing compressor, condenser, make sure there is no freon in the system. As you can see, mine's at 0. If you have some, take it to a local AC shop. They should recycle, drain your freon for low cost. Gonna loosen this bolt, which is 14 millimeter. Now we're gonna loosen this one. Now we're gonna loosen this 12 millimeter bolt. Looks like it might be a good time to slip off the serpentine belt. And it's out. Now we're gonna work on disconnecting all the wiring that goes into the alternator. That looks like 10 millimeter. Now let's remove this one and see what we'll find. That looks like a regular connector. Hate working on old cars because everything's so brittle. Hopefully it's still gonna hold, but the connection too very corroded. And this, I think if you could just lift up, it might work. Okay, almost out. There's another connector at the bottom. Connector is very dirty and pretty tough to reach. So I think it's not too much in a way where I should be able to just remove alternator and then I'll work on that connector. So I'll start by removing that 10 millimeter bolt that we loosened earlier. So now I think only thing that holds this alternator in place is this 14 millimeter bolt. It's pretty long, so let's remove that. Alternator should come off. Get a pry bar and see. Ah, shit. Okay, it's out. That's crazy. Look how dirty and messed up this compressor is. All this oil. It wouldn't surprise me if that's why it failed. This vehicle been leaking from valve covers for a really long time. I'll spray some engine cleaner. Not sure what it's gonna do, but... And I just check with this clearance. where it's a lot easier to get to the pulley, I'm still unable to rotate it. I cleaned compressor from dirt and other stuff, so now it looks a bit cleaner. It's still pretty dirty there, so I'm gonna use gloves. Gonna try to unplug this connector. So the connector was like this. You have to push this one. So I was able to remove this out of this piece, and then it gave me a little bit more room to play with that connector. Now I'm gonna work on removing the lines. Both of the lines held by 10mm bolts. Now we're gonna work on this one. And this one, the one I took out before, identical. Push those hoses out of the way. It's gonna be a good idea to put tape or something here so that nothing gets in the lines while I'm working on it. What I'm gonna try to start here with is removing this bracket, because it's gonna be on the way when I wanna remove the compressor. It's really tough to get a good angle through camera, but I'll do my best. I'm gonna remove this 12mm bolt. Here's that bolt. Trying to remove the bracket, there's another small bracket in the way, and looks like it's just secured by one 10mm bolt. Here's that small bolt. Let's see if this bracket gonna come off now. And it did. So it was something like this. I didn't put it on the video, but I removed this wiring right here, just took it from here. Now I should have access, good access to another bolt. And after I remove that bolt, that bracket should come off. Right there. Size of that one appears to be 14. And looks to be same size as the other nut in that area. So now we should be able to remove this bracket completely. I think all we have left here to remove compressor is just 4 bolts holding it. I'm gonna remove this small bracket first. Size of those bolts appears to be 12mm. Okay, that's what came out of that one. Guess let's work on the top one now. It's a little bit smaller than the nuts on that bracket. And I think this should come off. Let's work on the rest of the 12mm bolts. For this kind of job, I recommend using long handle ratchet just because those bolts are pretty tight, and with a small ratchet you're gonna have to use pipe or something on top of it. But this one's just fine, pretty much perfect for this job. Right when I said it, now I have trouble taking this one out. I'll have to get a pipe or something. This one's out too. Just for video illustration, the bottom two are the same size. Okay, we got 2 bolts left. Instead of just removing this one completely, I'm gonna loosen 2 of them first. And the reason is, if I remove one and only one left, I don't want compressor keep on twisting or something when I'm trying to remove it. So just in case, I'm gonna loosen 2 of them. Okay, this one's loosened. Now I'll remove this one. Kind of surprised why this one was there, since nothing really goes to this side. Let's now work on this one. And size of those two is identical as well. So now I'm gonna try to remove compressor from here. Came off pretty easy. And you could see here that the one I had there is denser. Now I'm gonna spray penetrating oil on some bolts I'm gonna remove in the near future. Now I'm gonna work on getting to condenser. My understanding it's not that easy to remove this trim piece grill, which we have to remove it to get to some bolts inside to remove condenser, but maybe if I remove all those it'll be enough clearance to slightly pull it out to have access to those bolts. If not, I'm gonna have to remove corner lights. Here's some trim piece here, I think some in the middle, some are there. I think there should be a push pins here, which I might do when I'm done here. Not sure if there's anything there, but it doesn't come out. And this one, looks like that's kind of a push pin there. That's a bolt right here. I have access with a shallow socket. And let's see what we got on this side. Even better access, pretty easy to this bolt. To increase chances of everything going well, I'm gonna put penetrating oil there too. So I'm gonna remove this. It's a 12mm bolt. Same thing on this side. I can move radiator a bit. To move it further, could use gloves to make it cleaner. And here, gonna remove this fuse block, push on this connector there. And that should give you a bit more room to move radiator further away. Here's a shallow socket here. I got the nut out, but it was kind of tough to reach there. You could probably try with a regular wrench. So I feel like if you move it just a bit, the regular wrench should be able to fit just fine. And again, it's 10mm. And try not to drop the nut. If you do, it shouldn't be that tough to find it, but be careful. I'm gonna remove this 10mm bolt. Now I'm gonna try to pull that line out. Not a big deal, but my recommendation is actually pull the lines out before you disconnect condenser from the frame of the vehicle, just because when you pull this out, see how it's moving now? It'll be a bit easier if it's not moving. Okay, it's out. The bottom line, it's a bit tougher. I'm gonna use thin wrenches. 22 size is the plastic one, and the metal one is 19. Pretty tough to reach that nut at the bottom, so I'm gonna try to remove those two 10mm bolts. I hope we'll be able to move the fan this way, which I hope gonna give me a better clearance to remove that connection. If I'll be able to remove the fan, it would be even better. Just realized there's also a bolt at the bottom. Use some penetrating oil. By the way, if you're working on it and you still have AC compressor here, to reach the bottom one, it looks like it might be actually easier from under the vehicle. Hopefully I'll be able to remove the fan now. Now a lot easier, better access to here. Gonna start with using regular wrenches. Not sure if it's gonna work, but we'll see. 22 and 19. Finally it's going out easier. And now compressor should just come out. Condenser is definitely in bad shape. Not sure if Freon was leaking from here or not. This is loose, but it's probably because I broke it when I attempted to disconnect this connection. I decided to go with Denso condenser, just because that's original equipment, and that was only $106 on Amazon. I could have went with other brand with maybe better warranty in local auto parts store, but they go for about $210. Now I'm gonna open this line to make sure there is a pressure inside condenser. That shows that there are no leaks. I'll take those two from bottom of the old condenser, put them into this one. Now be careful with this line. Only thing that holds it in place is right here. It's very easy to mess this up. When I was removing the old one, I also broke it. So be very gentle with this. Now I'm gonna add just 1 ounce of peg oil here. Here I just added about 2 ounces of peg oil. I'm gonna hand tighten this. And I remove those ones from top. This side getting this one. This side getting this one. In this section I had issues with audio recording, but here I pretty much removed old O-rings from all connectors and inserted nice new ones. They're green color, they should last longer. I used pick tool to remove old O-rings, and when I installed new O-rings I put peg oil around them. And to keep the lines clean I put rubber gloves on top of the connections. Also remove this radiator fan. You don't have to, but it was just super easy. Now I have a bit more room. Now I'm gonna insert the condenser. Looks good. Now I'm gonna secure those 10mm nuts on each side. Really tough to show it, but I'll try. Just take panel out like this. Like that. Here put some peg oil on the O-ring, and I'm gonna unscrew the cover on condenser. And this part might be kind of tough. The condenser design for this lower connector is very brittle. I don't like it. Have to be extremely careful with it. I'm gonna add just a bit of anti-seize lubricant on those threads, and that's just to make the nut go in easier. I'm gonna try to align it as centered as I can and then tighten it. Make sure you hand tighten it as far as you can. Can find my 19mm wrench, so I'll use cross foot, but have to be super gentle. Don't over tighten it. That should be good. Now I'm gonna work on this line. And be very careful, you don't need to put much pressure. Now I'm gonna open a box of the new aftermarket compressor. I wish Denso was available for good price, but it was not. I'm gonna remove the cover on compressor. Use a hex tool, I believe. Don't remember the size now, unfortunately. On a new compressor, it was easy to remove all of them to get the cover out. New compressor comes with a green gasket, which I really like. Now working on old compressor, it was pretty much impossible to remove those bolts with a regular ratchet, so I used impact wrench. Even with impact wrench, it was pretty much impossible to remove, so I used a ratchet with a long pipe, and only that way I was able to get the bolts loose. Obviously, once all 4 bolts loose, you can remove them. There was couple Phillips head screws and I removed them with just a screwdriver. Now with everything removed, got the cover out, or not cover, not sure how that part called. Make sure it goes in correctly and start hand tightening all those 4 bolts. And then with a ratchet. You don't have to get it super tight, just with a small ratchet would be fine. Put the bracket back in place, also with a Phillips screwdriver. Using wire strippers, I was able to get that connector out and put the bracket into the new compressor. Now I added about 3 ounces of PEG oil. Try to use low side. Now slide compressor in. Compressor is held by 4 12mm bolts. Start by hand tightening them. I started with top left. That's how it looks. Now those go to the bottom of compressor, but don't secure bottom left till you put bracket in. Now connect the line. The line bolt is 10mm. Not shown on video, but don't forget to connect electrical connector to AC compressor and clip it onto the compressor. Other line, also 10mm bolt. This bracket kind of surrounds compressor from top. And closer to engine, it's secured by 2 14mm nuts. You can start by hand tightening them. Now this small one gets a bolt on top. I believe it's 10mm bolt. Now that everything's secure over there, we're gonna put this bracket in the front. And this bottom bolt goes to the bottom left of the compressor. And you can secure that bolt from under the vehicle as well. So bracket is in place. Now put that bolt there, pretty much holds those 2 brackets together. Hand tighten it and then secure with a ratchet. Now we're gonna slide in alternator. This big bolt, it's a 14mm. Slide it in. You might move alternator around to make that bolt go in easier. Hand tighten it as much as you can. Kind of tough part, put a wood piece there. You're gonna need to put this bolt in a bracket. Now remove the wood piece and you should be good for now. Now let's connect this clip in for wire. Now connection, I believe this one's positive. The one I broke earlier, hopefully it will work. I think it will work, seems good. And now ground. Secured with 10mm nut. Secure with a ratchet. Put cover back in. This wire is in the way, so I removed the 14mm bolt and push wire in correctly. Now should be good. Now I'm gonna connect serpentine belt. Make sure alternator is loosened still and slide serpentine belt on all 3 pulleys. Tighten it all. Once you get tension, you can connect now negative terminal, 10mm bolt. Now let's work on replacing the dryer. Secure by 2 10mm bolts. There's another 10mm right there that holds the dryer in place. I'm gonna loosen that one, but you don't have to remove it. Gonna take this connection out of there. I see 10mm bolt right there. And try to lift this dryer up. I'm gonna have to turn it a little as I lift it. And it's out. I got a dryer from local auto parts store. I'll leave Amazon affiliate link for the one from Denso. I just didn't have time to get one. And what I like about this one is it actually comes with 2 O-rings, which I'm gonna use here. It should be like this. Now use peg oil or something compatible with those O-rings. Now I'm gonna add about 1 ounce of peg oil there. I'm gonna close this one. Tighten it all the way. Next one. This I'll do just a little bit. As soon as I feel a little pressure, I'm done. And I'll secure that connection at the bottom. Put high right here and low over there. Now I'm gonna pull vacuum, and what it does is have this open, open and open, as I want to make sure that the pressure inside AC lines is -30. Should be pretty fast, as you can see it's going down. But while it's doing that, I'm gonna work on putting radiator fans back on. I'm gonna start with the passenger side. I'm gonna tighten those 2 10mm bolts. Now I'm gonna put this one. Now I'm gonna secure this one and that one. There's just one more bolt right here. Didn't put that on a video, but the O-rings that came with this dryer are no good. It was leaking. Air was getting into the system, so I couldn't do the vacuum. I replaced it with my kit, and now no leaks, and it's staying at -30. Almost forgot, I'll put this one back in. I'm gonna connect the radiator fans. Now it's time to add Freon. But actually, before I do that, I need to start the vehicle. Make sure those are closed and it's at -30. Again, closed, -30. Gonna open this one. Gonna screw this one on. And this. Now I'm gonna open this one. Screw it in. And I'm gonna get air out of this system, the one that has Freon. I'm gonna slowly release this one. And the C clutch just engaged. Okay, this one's done. I'm gonna close the low side and disconnect this. Now I'm gonna go get another one. So this is done all the way out. I'm gonna insert this one and get air out of the system. And slowly release the low side again. Just check, AC is at 65, which is getting lower. Okay, this one's empty. Forgot to close the low. Now it's closed. Again, get air out. Slowly open low. AC now at 60. AC now at about 50, 48, 50. Close the low side. And got one more to go. Keep on making mistakes. Make sure before you take the old one out, open this one all the way out. Now it's on, I'm gonna screw this on. And slightly unscrew it. Take air out of the system. Slowly release low. Just check AC, now it's around 45 degrees. Okay, I think we're good. I'm gonna close the low, make sure high is closed. Gonna unlock, take this one out. Nice and cold, about 45 degrees. That's how you replace the AC system. Overall, not too bad. That was probably one of the easier jobs I've done on this vehicle. Toughest one was replacing steering rack bushing. You can find other videos on my channel. I leave Amazon affiliate link for parts and tools I used to get this project done. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to reply as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. See you next time.